Hello guys, and welcome back. Today, the first spring butterflies generally in most of the states and even other countries across the world are orange tip butterflies and the spring azure butterfly. But we will be talking about them next time. Today we're focusing on the orange tips.
And you can find orange tips in pretty much every state in the US. You can find them in several other countries across the world, several parts of Europe, Germany, England, Ireland, Wales. You can also find them in Africa and in Asia as well. So they are pretty common. And there are so many different types that there's no way for me to possibly memorize every single type of orange tip.
There are 1,100 species of orange tip butterflies. The ones I'm going to talk about today are the Sarah orange tip, the falcate orange tip, the Julia orange tip, and the desert orange tip. The desert orange tip is in the southwestern United States all the way through Utah and has been seen in Idaho as well. There is another desert orange tip butterfly in Africa as well, but I believe that is a different species than the desert orange tip that is in the United States. Some of the flowers that the desert orange tip has been known to like are fiddleneck. Now, if you live east of the Rocky Mountains, all the Midwestern states, the southern states, all the way up to through the eastern seaboard, you will probably see a falcate orange tip. If you live in the western states, you're more likely to see a Sarah orange tip, desert orange tip, or a Julia orange tip. Sorry, I had to remember. The Julia orange tip tends to go through the Rocky Mountain area and over to Oregon as well. The Sarah orange tip goes from California all the way up into southern Oregon. Now, unfortunately, if you live in the northern part of Oregon like I do, you probably won't see a Sarah orange tip because they tend not to fly farther north than Josephine County, Jackson County, and Curry County. So if you live like in Grants Pass, Klamath Falls, Medford, Ashland, you'll probably see a Sarah orange tip. Live in Northern California, pretty much anywhere in California, you probably will see a Sarah orange tip, but us Northern Oregoners will probably not see the Sarah orange tip, but we have a chance of seeing the Julia orange tip and perhaps some other orange tips that I don't know about. With that many species of orange tips, it's highly likely you might see them. But an interesting fact about the orange tips, all the orange tips are only the males actually have an orange tip. So it's often hard to distinguish, even for me, like I'm not an expert by any means, but it's hard for me to distinguish a female orange tip butterfly from a cabbage white butterfly and the pine whites and the silver whites. Anyways, I have a hard time distinguishing that, but one of the ways you can distinguish a female orange tip butterfly from a cabbage white butterfly is that the orange tip has like a mottled coloring, kind of a mottled lace wing pattern on the underneath of their hind wings. They call it a mossy green coloring, like mottling, but to me it looks more almost like gold, copper, or a silver. It kind of looks a little sparkly to me. Maybe it's just the way that pictures hit in the sunlight, but I think they're beautiful underneath sides. Now both the males and the females have the underneath sides on the hind wings mottled. So that is the way you can tell the females orange tips from cabbage white butterflies. The host plants for all the orange tips, pretty much every single type, even the ones in the other countries, are mustard plants and cress plants. They love hedge mustard, garlic mustard, wintercress, bittercress, rockcress. Most of the stuff us gardeners don't think is very pretty and looks kind of weedy. That's kind of what they use for their host plants. But if you want to entertain your yard for orange tips and hopefully have some orange tip caterpillars hatch, then that's what you will need to plant. The nectar plants that they like are strawberries. So if you have strawberries, you might see an orange tip butterfly. I might plant some strawberries just specifically for that reason. I'm not much of a fruit vegetable grower, but I might plant those. Strawberries often entertain several other different types of butterflies as well, but the orange tips love strawberries. Now, if you live in Oregon, some other native plants that you can plant are monkey flower. They love monkey flower for nectar. Not so much for host plant, but for nectar. And of course, as in every other butterfly, if you have any type of nectarine flower and they need some nectar, they're going to stop in your garden for a drink. So that's pretty much it for the orange tips, the cresses, rock cress, bitter cress, and winter cress. Here in Oregon, winter cress is native, as is rock cress. Not sure about the bitter cress, but anyway, that's what you can plant to attract orange tips to your yard. And they are some of the very first butterflies that will emerge this spring. So be on a watch out for them either April or in early May, depending on how warm the weather is this year in your area. So thanks for watching, and next time we'll talk about the spring azures.